We're back for Preakness weekend. Nick Tammaro here for twinspires.com, taking a look first at the Black Eyed Susan, the featured event on Friday afternoon's Preakness Eve program. And joining me, Scott Shapiro, to talk a little bit, of course, about this race and some of the exciting promos we have at twinspires.com. My friend, how you doing? What do you got for us?
Good to be back with you, Nick, and really looking forward to both these cards. I thought the Black Eyed Susan card was particularly fun, and that's great news for Twin Spires customers because, once again, great promotions at Twin Spires led by the money back offer. Get your up to $10 back on your win bet in all eligible races if your horse finishes second or third. And, Nick, I think the Black Eyed Susan, obviously, with a horse that we both think is going to be very tough to beat, but you can take a chance with some of the other better price options and get some insurance if Feza tends to beat those, but still your horse or your filly runs a really good race.
Yeah, I guess let's hone in on that undefeated filly and daughter of Gervin, who comes in for trainer Bob Baffert off of 5 straight wins, including 4 graded stakes scores, a grade 1 going back to late fall, almost winter in the Starlet at Los Alamitos. Feza is just about invincible in this field, Scott.
Yeah, she's going to get a really good trip out there with the 9-hole, with a likely scratch of Miracle. Likely will get to move inside, and that tactical speed should just allow Flavien Prat to put her in an absolutely perfect spot. You mentioned the 5-for-5 record. They knew this daughter of Gervin looked special when they spent $725,000 for her last year, they being Michael Lund Peterson and Bob Baffert. And boy, she has really been a machine now. Not overly sure that she's beaten all that much out in Southern California, but, she's done it so easily. I think she's going to be very tough to deny in the Black Eyed Susan this year, Nick.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to ask you if the one potential negative is that the competition out west was particularly weak. I don't want to necessarily use And Tell Me No Lies poor performance in the Oaks as a condemnation potentially of Feza because of the trip that And Tell Me No Lies had. She basically lost all chance around the first turn. That being said, she has beaten a particularly weak group of horses out west. But I don't know if she's facing a particularly strong group of horses here.
It's interesting. I mean, just the whole crop has been underwhelming with Feza, the lone kind of filly that on paper looks like she's a dominant type. The Kentucky Oaks, I thought, was a fun race, but not one of the better renditions of that. And then you come here, I think it's an equal race to the Kentucky Oaks, which I rarely say, but she's just going to get such a good trip out there. If she's anything close to what we think she is, she's going to be tough to beat at a likely odds-on price.
Yeah, I like the adjustment made by Flavien Prat last time out in the Santa Anita Oaks, which is a faster-paced race, and she was taken a little bit farther off of it. Let's talk about alternatives. I thought I had a couple that were at least interesting, maybe nothing more than placing chances. If you're looking elsewhere, where are you starting?
I thought Sacred Wish was interesting on the inside. That was a really good effort. I know the Gulfstream Park Oaks was not a very strong rendition of that grade 2 event, but this horse really was 5 wide, had very little chance, and still finished second. Was 5 wide into the first turn in her first try against Winner's first try of 2 turns, and 3 wide on the backstretch. And I thought she ran very well considering to finish second. Now, obviously, again, we talk about it. Not sure what she beat in there, what was behind her. I know Affirmative Lady was an underwhelming winner. Did get a really good trip that day, but I think Sacred Wish is a little bit interesting. And then I think Who's Your Filly is the wild card. I know that she's been underwhelming. I'm not sure if she's going to be anywhere close to the 10-1 price, just a horse that likes to take a lot of money, but clearly something went wrong in the Fairgrounds Oaks when she was just sitting a perfect trip and ended up stalling badly to be beaten 15 lengths. Maybe she can bounce back here, but it's going to be tough to beat Feza.
Yeah, I think everything's gone wrong for Who's Your Filly in 2023, and maybe this is a potential restarting spot, so to speak. She's a very good horse in the morning, and I think that's what's led some people to believe that maybe this is something that she'll break out of in the afternoon. But all indication is that she was a 2-year-old that was ahead of the crop and probably got caught up with very, very quickly. I thought the 10 Taxed was a little interesting. Second behind Wet Paint last time out in the Fantasy. The good thing about this daughter of Collected to me is that she can race forwardly, and she's not going to have to make up a significant amount of ground. I thought she got into a little traffic trouble in the Fantasy, and that probably kept her from maybe being a little closer to Wet Paint. She was never going to beat her at all, and she ended up being a relatively comfortable second anyhow. I think probably not much more than a placing chance in here, as it would take a pretty clear step forward for her to be good enough to win. One of the interesting horses to me as well is the 8 Balpool, who had a poor run in her lone prior try in Maryland, but is basically borderline perfect in her last three in New York, including a comfortable win last out in a race taken off the turf that was run on a sloppy track. I try not to put terribly much credence into those kind of races, just given that some horses handle it better than others. But she at least felt like one that was moving forward. Also seems like one that won't struggle at all with any extra ground going from that series of one-turn miles out to this now two-turn mile and an eighth.
Yeah, tough read for me with the Daughter of Uncaptured. The pedigree suggests that it's clear one-turn horse, and all of her best efforts have been, like you said, Nick, going the one-turn mile, but doesn't have the look of a horse that's going to struggle. And she's 8-1 on the morning line. She'll get a nice forward trip under Manny Franco. And then speaking to your point with Tax, blinkers coming off really seemed to move this one forward, and she didn't show very much less early speed doing so. So I think Tax draws favorably outside Feza. Maybe can follow that one around the racetrack at a good price.
One other one we can talk about, and these connections will be prominent in the Preakness on Saturday afternoon. The 7 comparative is from the barn of Brad Cox with Luis Saez in the irons. A winner of 2 straight. Just looks a little too slow, right?
Yeah, I think so. And Brad Cox has Merlaza in here as well. I do prefer Milazzo, though. Speed figure wise, that was a very underwhelming effort last time in the stakes race at Oaklawn. But Joel Rosario, as he has more frequently than not of late, has made things a lot more difficult on this filly than I think she needed. I think with Ferran Rule aboard, you can expect a more aggressive ride to have her near the front. To me, comparative, 2 perfect trips against Lesser in the last couple. She's a horse that I'm against in this spot.
Well, unfortunately, we're both on the big favorite, and I think a lot of people are going to land there. That is Feza. Scott, thanks so much. And make sure you're opting into all of the great promotions, including that money back offer, and play along with us at twinspires.com. Until next time, best of luck.